All right, let me take you straight into it. No sugarcoating. You ever seen a man broken twice by his own country? Because that's exactly what I saw that morning, right there in that tired old courthouse, where the air felt thick with judgment and coffee stains clung to every file on the prosecutor's desk. Stand up, thief. That's how it started. Prosecutor's fingers stabbing the air like he's playing God, making sure everybody in that room had a good look at the man they'd already decided was guilty. Old guy in a Marine jacket, shoulders hunched, face worn like a piece of leather that's seen too much sun, you know? He just stood there, not a word, not a whimper, just a set jaw and eyes looking straight ahead. And if you caught the light right, you'd see a battered Marine Corps badge that nobody seemed to care about except him. Now, don't get me wrong, most folks in that room weren't losing sleep over this case. I heard them snickering, a couple folks whispering, "That's the guy?" Broke into the pharmacy, and a lady near the back rolling her eyes so hard you could hear it, mumbling about how they ought to lock him up and toss the key. But then, and this is where it gets good, you know what I mean? She walks in, blonde, sharp as a switchblade, heels pounding the floor like she owned the place, every single head turning like they'd seen a ghost or maybe an angel who took a wrong turn and ended up in the wrong part of town. She didn't belong. That much was obvious, not with the scuff tile and peeling paint, not standing next to a man everybody had already given up on. But she dropped her bag, fixes her stare right at the judge, steel in her eyes, and asks to speak. You could feel it, the energy shifting. The prosecutor barely looks up, probably thinking she's just another public defender on a losing streak. He tells the judge to let her talk. So she does. "Maybe you heard he stole medication." She starts, voice cool, but you can tell she's just getting warmed up. "But did you ever stop and wonder why?" She walks toward the jury, her tone slow and heavy like rain starting to fall, and she lays it out. This man, 76 years old, did 3 tours in Vietnam, lost a leg to a landmine, came home to a country that spat at him in airports and pretended he didn't exist, buried his wife young, worked nights as a security guard till his hands shook so bad he couldn't even hold a flashlight. She pauses, just enough for the weight to land, and suddenly nobody's whispering anymore. 3 months back, she says his granddaughter, a kid, barely old enough to spell her own name, collapses at a sleepover. Diabetes, the real bad kind, the kind that needs insulin or else, well, you get it. Mom can't afford the medicine. Insurance turns them down, and the only thing standing between that little girl and a funeral is a bottle of insulin behind a locked pharmacy door. So what does he do? Walks 5 miles in the middle of the night, breaks into the pharmacy, takes 2 vials, then here's the part they leave out on the news, turns himself in the next morning, like it was some kind of duty, like he owed the world an apology for loving his own blood too much. She pulls out a picture, crumpled and worn, holds it up for the jury. A little girl, arm full of tubes, clutching a teddy bear that's seen better days. "This," she says, and her voice is thick now, "this is who he stole for." There's a pause, I'm telling you. You could hear a pin drop, and one juror wipes away a tear, while the judge suddenly needs to examine his pen real close. The prosecutor jumps in, though, can't stand silence. Says it's still theft. A crime's a crime, and if they let this go, what kind of message does that send? Now the defender's got fire in her voice. You can feel it. She turns on him and says, "You want to talk about messages? Let's talk about what message we sent when this man came home in a wheelchair and couldn't get a job, when the VA told him to come back next month, when his granddaughter's medicine was worth more than his pension." And just when you think you've seen it all, she does something wild, walks right over to the old man and says, "Neil," soft as you'd say to a friend who'd lost everything. And he, confused as hell, drops to one knee. She faces the court, her voice steady, but her hands are shaking now. This is the same knee he dropped to when he was awarded the Silver Star after dragging 5 men out from under enemy fire. You make him kneel here today like a criminal, but I'm asking who should be kneeling to whom. The room lets out a gasp, one juror covering her mouth, another taking off his glasses like he can't believe what he's seeing. And then, I kid you not, this tiny voice pipes up from the back, "Grandpa," and out comes this little girl, teddy bear clutched in one arm, running past her mother's desperate grab, all the way into her grandpa's arms. No one in that courtroom even breathes. And then, like some scene out of a movie, one juror stands up, then another, and pretty soon the whole jury box is on its feet. Even the judge. The prosecutor just sits there, jaw set, probably realizing this is way bigger than a simple theft case. And that old man, Neely's bawling now, clutching his granddaughter so tight like he'll never let her go again. You ever see a grown man cry in front of strangers and not feel something crack inside you? Yeah, that happened. The verdict comes back no prison, no fines, just time served, and a whole courtroom full of people who remember, for a second, what decency is supposed to look like. As folks start to leave, I hear a man whisper, "That woman, she didn't just win a case. She brought back something this country lost a long time ago." And let me tell you, you don't forget a moment like that. But that's just one day, one courtroom, one fight, and you gotta ask, what about all the others who never get this kind of shot, you know? Where do you draw the line between mercy and law, between justice and order? Maybe you think the old man deserve a break. Maybe you don't. So I want to hear what's justice mean to you? Where'd you stand in that room? Drop your take in the comments. Argue it out, because if stories like this don't get us talking, maybe we're missing the point altogether.